All right, so I fell asleep during the week. It was the Warriors Nuggets. I must have had ESPN on. I wake up. It's in the fourth quarter. I see.
Such a sad.
I might have been up for
scene.
like 2 minutes, like a little groggy-eyed. Wasn't really paying attention. See Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Go down.
That hurts their
I
chances.
still didn't see the.
Yeah.
I still didn't
It
see
didn't
the
look
clip.
that awkward.
No, it wasn't.
It didn't
but
look
like,
that awkward. No.
But if you know what you would be able to tell it right
there's
away.
Definitely, there's definitely ones that you can look at and be like, you know what?
It's gone.
It's gone. But that one, it didn't
No.
look like it.
But I'm not an expert. I am not a physical therapist. I never went to school to be a
Athletic trainer,
whatever. When he landed, he made the over. It landed hard. You could see his knee cave in. So I'm like, they were trying to play it off like, oh, you hope it's not too serious. We don't know. We won't say anything. I saw it. I'm like, nah, it's gone. Like it's ACL. And then he came up, brought it off the floor. So you being an athletic trainer, me being someone who would like to prevent kids from tearing ACLs.
You being somebody that knows an athletic trainer.
and Matt being someone who's torn his ACLs multiple times.
Unfortunately, yes.
How many? Only two?
Two.
Each one?
Each one in both knees.
So I feel like it's a good topic. We've had multiple conversations on the ACL. Fans at home might not find it interesting, but I sure do. Take it away, Tom.
What kind of host is that?
Take it away, Tom.
This is
What do you think
could-
about ACLs? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so
you could hold a whole class, semester-long class on it.
But we
the
can
topic.
go really into this.
Yeah.
Like what do you mean? Like how do you feel about like the injury? Like what do you
No.
trying to get at?
So with him, biggest reason, so non-contact injuries, right? This
Right.
was a non-contact. Obviously, if you're a football player, you're a quarterback or something, you have someone that rolls up on your knee and just moves it in a different direction. There's no way to prevent that. Like
Right.
you could do all the off-season stuff. You can, train to absorb force, things like that. But there's nothing you could do about it. But from our perspective, from your perspective, we've talked about this before. You said you think that most ACL injuries happen because a person's ability to accept force isn't
Right. Decelerate.
Decelerate, yes.
Right. Most of the time they're non-contact, and it's when that kid, that player plants, tries to go in a different direction, pops it.
I know that personally.
Yeah.
Both yours non-contact?
Both of mine one was like what he was talking about, like the deceleration.
You're in a 7-on-7, right?
Yeah, so how did you tear both of them?
First one was 7-on-7.
When you were the quarterback?
Quarterback.
When you were able to throw?
Able to throw.
Before
Tom messed my whole shoulder up.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't throw you under the bus. He did.
Yeah.
But I was like practicing scrambling for some reason, and I ran out of the pocket, broke down, and then next thing I know, breaking down my left one. I made 1-2 cut. I was planting the cut to go right. As soon as I planted, went in, out, and I didn't know it, but in the back of my mind, like you kind of had an idea. Like you guys ever turn your neck really quick and you feel a pop in the back of your neck?
Yeah.
That's what I felt in my knee, and I was like, this isn't good.
I'll give you. We're kind of veering off, but I'll give you a good story. Speaking of that, because I'm down that day with my wife and my girls down at Knoebels, right? It's in July. It's about probably like a week or two before camp was about to
Were
start.
you at Mid-Valley or were you at
We were at Pitson area.
Yeah, it was down at Pitson area.
Yeah.
And we're driving home. Dawn's driving. We got up to maybe, I don't know, the Davis Street exit on 81 where, you can see PNC Field.
Yeah.
And phone starts ringing. Coach Pizzalia. I'm like, oh, I'm not answering this right now. Like, what could it be? Like, it's
nothing good.
Right. I'm thinking, I'm still on vacation. I'm down with the family, right? Like, I'll get back to him later. I didn't answer the phone, right? 2 minutes later, Coach Pizzalia. I'm like, my wife's like, you got to answer the phone. I know. Coach, what's up? Hey, what are you doing? Where are you? Are you around? Coach, what's the matter? Well, Matthew got hurt. We're down, he tells me down at Pittston. We're coming back. We're heading up to school. when Dawn and I are coming up, we're coming around, coming close to the Central Scranton Expressway. We would get off there, come to the house, right? And so Coach gives me the lowdown on Matt, and I said, I told Dawn, I'm like, keep going, we got to go to the troop exit, and
Not to cut you off, there was like a trainer, I guess if you want to say there, or a physical therapist there at the field.
I like how you use quotations. You're like, yeah.
Well,
alleged.
supposedly. So when I did do whatever I did to my knee, well, I tore it. He was doing the Lockman's test or the open the drawer test, and he's like, you feel good, you feel all right. Like just put some ice on it, you'll be all right. Then Tommy grabs me, does it one time, boop, it's gone.
No, I didn't tell you then.
You didn't tell me then. You came to my.
I came to your house.
Yes, yeah.
Because
But go back to your story. Go ahead.
So I show up. I got, like I said, Dawn's there. My girls are only really little.
Oh. Yep.
They come in. By the time I think I even beat the bus there. I just got there before the bus got back, and here he comes down. I don't know who's holding him. Ronnie's with him or whoever else, right? Coach Bazalia's in the room. Coach TK, right?
Yeah.
They're all like they want to know what's going on with
Barrett,
Matt, right?
everybody.
I think Mom and Dad were even there,
Yeah.
right? I'm sitting there. I barely know him, right? I
Been
got
here
him
for a cup of
This
coffee.
is like
This is my
his
first year?
second year.
Second
No,
year?
second.
It was
My
your
freshman.
This was your sophomore year. When did you do it?
Junior.
So
This is like his third
So it's
year.
my
Really,
third year. Yeah,
third year
yeah.
really like knowing me.
right.
Yeah.
So I got him on the table, and they're all eyes are on me, right? Go up, take a look at his knee. I'm going, right? I go,
Yeah.
looking around. There's Coach Bazzalia. There's Coach TK. Mom and Dad still don't really know them that well, right? I'm going,
How do I go about this right now?
all right. So now I told you, Coach called 3 times, right? He called Dr. Henzes. Has a great relationship with Dr. Henzes. Coach Bazzalia already had him scheduled for an appointment with Dr. Henzes by the time I even got up into troop, right? So, I play it. Well, you know what? Let's ice it. Can't really tell, right? But Coach got you the appointment. Let's see what Doc Henzes says. Go through, check on you maybe tomorrow. I'll catch up with you, da-da-da-da, right?
Well, Doc Henzes is like, we're going to put a brace on you. We'll see if you can move around.
I'm going, I can't, I couldn't tell him yet, right?
Yeah.
So never forget, I even if Dawn, you said it to Dawn, we got in the car, and she's like, what's the matter? I'm going, his knee shot. Well, why didn't you say anything? I'm like, what do you want me to say? They're all, I'm only there 3 years, right?
There,
I got
yeah.
18 people
Everybody's in
staring
there.
at me.
I'm on the
Everybody's in
spot.
there.
Like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to break this to this kid, right? And I went, I swear to God, I think I came to the house the next day.
Yeah.
And the whole night I'm thinking, do I tell him? Do I let Doc Henzes take care of this? How do I do this?
I told you that Doc Henzes was like, hey, we're going to put a brace on you to see if we can move you around, see if you can play with it. And then that's when you came up to the house. You're like,
Yeah, listen.
no.
Listen.
You're like,
If we're gonna
This
try
thing
to
is
have
good.
you play on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it, but it's just
Yeah.
Danielle tried doing it, and Danielle was very
It
stubborn when
was
she tore
definitely-
hers.
No, it was the right move not to play because
I
the way that
yeah.
I played and the way that I would have wanted to move, my knee wouldn't have allowed me.
Yeah,
It would have been
I
more
always
frustrating.
say with an ACL because I've never been in that corner or that philosophy of go out and try to play. Let's get you through the season and then try to repair it, because what I was taught was once that ACL, you got your partial tears or whatever, it's like being pregnant. You can't be partially pregnant.
You said this about UCL. Or baseball,
Correct.
so yeah,
Same
you said
thing
the
with the elbow. Right. If that thing's torn in any way,
It's compromised.
You compromise the stability of the knee, and that athlete can't do it. Now there are documented things, they call them copers, and that's actually what I thought Danielle was going to end up being, because she tore hers. She was maybe 2 weeks after. She got a lot of the swelling down. Still wanted to fight through. I think she tore it mid-December. And she wanted to fight through and finish the season and get it repaired afterwards. And I swear, I put her through every drill imaginable in any direction, cut, jump, change direction, anything. I couldn't get her to get her. My only goal was I need to show her that her knee's going to buckle and she can't do this because it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
She couldn't. She was able to do it all. Finally, the morning of a game, she had a shooter. We had a shooter on at the school. It was I think it was a Kimoni tournament game, and she went over, leaned down to pick up a ball with her leg straight, and it buckled on her. Swelled up. She tried to play that night. It was a disaster. She couldn't really move, and then she finally understood and decided to get it repaired and move on. But it's it's one of those. I mean, you like you said, when you're decelerating.
It's a weird feeling.
Yeah, you you have to get go back to it happens more often with girls, right? But it happens in high school age guys as well because the girls, not to get too technical, but they have an increased Q angle, which means their hips are wider than their knees, right?
So their hips go out and their knees go in.
Right, and that's an anatomical issue on the female end. But with the guys, to me, why it happens a lot is because it's turning into a functional type situation there where they're not able to control that knee movement. You get into that valgus, like you said, where you're kind of a knock-knee position, but you lose that hip rotation, and then you're at the point of no return. That thing's gone. So that's the biggest thing you have to.
So here would be my
in order to prevent it.
One, how'd you tear the second one? Basketball?
Come to a jump stop, landed on someone's foot, so it was kind of an awkward, knee position.
Awkward. So that's almost like someone landing on you. Like that's not
because
you can't really control how. That's
right.
Yeah,
kind of in between. But I would still want to call that a contact injury.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But it's just
it wasn't contact.
It's not
it was
like
more of
I feel like what you're saying. If you land on this concrete,
right,
flat ground, you tear it, couldn't absorb the force, couldn't decelerate. Him, it's like okay, you land on a foot, your knee goes like that or ends up like that. Like that's different. It's not like a 300-pound dude lands on it, but it's.
Yeah, I think I only had one. I had a string of ACLs at Mid Valley from.
You had Poland.
You had
Aaron.
me. You had Danielle.
Danielle was
Mitch.
first, then you, then now I can't remember exact order, but I had Mitch, I had Aaron, I had Jess Wood, I had Josh wasn't technically ACL, he was more like meniscus and stuff.
Yeah.
Martin,
I forgot about Martin.
Mike Reed. Reed was the only contact one. He did it up at Lakeland.
Me and him me and Martin were together.
Yeah, Martin. Yeah. Martin, the same thing. That. After yours, that's when I started like, all right, I got it. When I know I got that positive test and I know that knee is torn, I'm like, you did it, it's gone. I cut right to the chase, and I'll never forget. Reed did it up at Lakeland. Somebody came into him, rolled up. He's a lineman, rolled up on him. We go into the field house up at Lakeland. I tell somebody to bring mom and dad up because on the field I knew it was gone. So we get him situated, get him up there. Doc from Lakeland, I can't remember who he was. Great guy, and I'm sure probably a terrific physician, but from an orthopedic standpoint, don't go near him. Because I swear, Doc's on the table and he's going up to Reed and he's checking him. He's like, I think you just tweaked it a little bit, right? I'm behind the doctor. Mom and dad are on the other side of the table. I'm like, no, just yes him. We'll get this situated once he's out of here. I'm telling you. But it sucks. I mean, once that happens, it's one of those things you talk about as an athletic trainer that when you get it and you have a kid that has an ACL, you sit there and you're almost like a kid at Christmas. Here we go. Here's this 9-month project that, we learned all about. And now it's finally he's my kid that I got to take care of for the next 9 months. And that's all I'm thinking about. I'm writing down notes and everything right. But when you look at it, you're going, oh man, I can't believe that this kid is going to be
you gotta tell this kid
down for 9 months. It's one of the best worst feelings you can have in athletic training because it's what you've been prepared and taught and, look forward to. However, you don't want to see it happen to somebody that you're close with or one of your kids,
So with you, Matt, you tore one in football, how far after you tore the first one did you tear the second one?
First one was
Both in high
2000
school?
No.
No, okay,
No.
so when was the second one?
Yeah. Second one was like
Not long ago, right?
Oh, yeah, you had oh, yeah.
16, 17, I want to say. I tore the second one. Yeah. The
Yeah,
first one was like 2011, 2012.
So at that point,
So like the second one, like it was like I did it and I knew it, like it was gone, but it was kind of like a bittersweet, I guess you want to say. Like I kind of knew how to go about it, what I needed to do, how to like rehab it and whatnot. Tom kind of helped me out. He gave me some good things to do and whatnot.
When you did it the first time, right?
Yeah.
And we're rehabbing and spending. I mean, it's a daily.
Oh, it's a grind.
Daily thing.
It's a grind.
What's the worst part? You being the one on the table and having to go through it. What did you find most challenging?
There was two things that were major challenging. One being like not being able to be out there, and then there was a certain point where I felt like I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay. Like I can compete. I can somewhat contribute to the team, and then it's kind of like you being like that voice in the back of my head saying,
"Not yet.
Reel it back."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like those were the two challenging parts because, like, I knew I was good, but like it was the sense of like seeing my team not do that well,
right,
and not being able to help them win. Not saying I would have made like 10 wins, but I think we would have won more games if I would been able to play.
Right.
And then the fact of like me, it was towards the end of the season and I was starting to feel really good and I was like, I can do this. I could play right now. And all of a sudden Tom's like, dude,
not yet.
Chill out.
Yeah.
You're not ready yet.
Yeah. That's definitely the worst part on my side.
That's the worst part to me too. Like knowing that I could somewhat play, I could cut, I could jump, I could run.
You could have been like Rev. Remember the Titans?
You watched that movie?
Yeah.
Yo.
Way to go, tweeter.
How good was that edit?
Well, phenomenal. But yeah, those are the toughest parts.
So now my question to you. So now you've torn two after you tore the first one, because you still keep it like you still play basketball.
Yeah.
You still go at 100%. Like you still like. Do you ever think about it? I can't imagine coming back. Like when you first got back on the football field or the court after tearing the first one. Was it like
injury, like when I first tore my first one? It was hard to make like a cut because that's how I
like mentally or
mentally it was hard to like get over the fact like it's not gonna go because like it went on a cut. So why am I gonna?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it was like I'd come to a breakdown. It's like
not right now.
Not right now. Yeah. No. And it's kind of Tom being like that figure of being like, you got to go, you got to push it. And then like knowing when to like kind of calm me down or kind of push me a little bit. But then like the second one, it was a jump stop. So like it was, I don't think it was so much as me being afraid of it, but it was I wasn't as, I guess, worried about it. Cause once I had figured out like I was good to go, I was going to go with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the toughest thing, I guess, is just the fact of like you feeling good and thinking that you're good when in all honesty you're not, because it's actually like Tom talked about it, when you think you're at your strongest you're at your weakest, because that's when your ligament or your tendon's changing over to a ligament.
Yeah, that's the big one is I started drawing a graph for those guys because you come out of surgery and you feel like crap.
Oh, you feel like
but that new repaired structure is 100% solid. And what happens is that strength of that repair goes down because that tissue dies, right? Because it's got to regenerate. Typically, you're taking either a patella tendon, maybe an Achilles graft or hamstring graft, maybe cadaver tendon, something like that. But you're taking that replacement tendon, making it now a ligament. So the tendon properties have to die, and then your body knows enough to recreate and mimic more of a ligament tissue. So at the time at that point is dying, and that new graph is at its weakest, you're starting to feel your best. Your range is back. Your strength is starting to come around.
Speaking of range,
you're able to walk.
That is one of the worst parts of rehab. Worst part, Bernie, I love him. One of the best physical trainers I've ever been with, but he could kick rocks for all I care because
and Danielle was the same way. I remember
he was awesome, but like there comes a point where you need to kind of get that range of motion back and rip some scar tissue. And what they basically do is they lay you on your stomach and they're like, all right, put your foot as close to your butt as you can. He's like, all right. So they take out like a little like measure, and they're like, all right, you're at about like 70 degrees. Can you go any further? You push it, you get to like 80 or whatever. All of a sudden he comes in. He's like, you ready?
Going to 90.
He's like, we're going. Take a deep breath. He'll just take your foot, and you're holding on to that bench like there's no tomorrow, and he just keeps pushing. You're like, all right, I'm good. He keeps pushing. I'm good. Pushing, and then all of a sudden you feel the scar tissue start popping and ripping in your knee, and you want to cry. That's how bad the pain is, and he doesn't care. He's pushing your foot to your butt until you have full range of motion. But I mean, if it wasn't for him and Tom, I don't think I'd be able to do the things I'm doing today, though. So I as much as I hate him, I love him too. That's a tough part, but knowing when you think you're healthy, when you're not, is tough.
Yeah,
like what you were saying.
That's where I think you and Martin both were. I can remember when Danielle was the first ACL that was truly mine from beginning to end, first one on my own, and I can remember I'm not screwing this thing up. I'm not screwing it up. I'm not screwing this up. I wrote down everything. I took notes every day, right? How she felt, what she said. Everything, right? What's her knee look like? Where was it? Where was her range of motion? Where was this? Day 4, day 5, day 16, day 75, right? So I pretty much had a notebook filled of Danielle's notes from the beginning to the end. And then Matt comes along, Martin comes along, the rest of them, and I'd start comparing now. Matt should be here because Danielle was here at day 5.
No.
Well, he was going quicker, and Martin even went even quicker.
So then my question is that more based on, I know it's based on every individual as how they are as a person, but is it also, did you see differences in the doctors? Like would you say.
Who did your first? Dr. Sebastianelli, right?
Yeah, he did both of mine.
Right, yeah. So he had.
I went, Penn State both times.
Yeah, Danielle.
Was she the same?
Danielle was Dr. Sebastianelli, I believe.
And then I don't know where
Martin.
I don't know Martin. I know Reedy was Hens's.
Dr. Hens's, yep. Corey Tomasetti was one of them. But Corey tore his at Kutztown. And Dad called me. I set Corey up with Dr. Kelly down in Philly.
Okay.
His was an interesting one. Aaron went to Dr. Kelly down in Philly. So I've seen Dr. Hens's, Dr. Sebastianelli, Dr. Kelly's predominantly. They're the 3 surgeons that I've worked with. And there's a little bit of difference between physicians.
Yeah.
But
would you say it's mostly based on the individual though, and like their ability to like pain and adjust and whatnot?
It's more of the rehab kind of makes or breaks the success of the surgery. Any surgeon will tell you that. They're going to go in, they got the perfect conditions because you're knocked out cold.
Right.
They've got, everything they need to do to make sure that repair is done correctly. And they're cranking on your knee, putting your knee in 100 different directions before they take you out.
Yeah.
Right out of the OR. But then
I got a great story for you
day
guys
one
of OR too.
That day one after surgery, you can't move. That thing is locked up, and you feel like any little bit. I remember talking to your mom a lot, like just being nervous, like should he be moving it like that, or Bernie's moving it this way, or you're like easy, leave him alone because but not realizing. Doc was just in the OR cranking your knee around like you were a piece of hardware.
Right.
But
like one of these. Couldn't do it with the mic in the way, dude. I can't.
Still can't.
Struggling, bud.
Still can't do it.
Can't.
So what's your OR?
So I just got out of surgery. I'm still like I'm fading in and out of it still. The nurse is like trying to wake me up. She's like, you got to eat something, you got to drink something, so that we can like keep something down in your stomach.
Yeah.
We had a minivan. We still have the minivan.
Great minivan.
It is the great minivan. My mom did a great job. She set like a little like bed in the back almost, so I can like lay down, keep my legs straight, and like have it all situated. So the nurse is like, all right, we can take you outside. You're like eating, you're drinking a little bit. We can take you out. As I'm coming out, I see my dad ripping all the blankets and pillows out of the van to get me in there. I come around the corner and I hear my mom say, WTF, what are you doing right now? I start cursing at him also. I'm like, what the F are you doing? I'm supposed to lay back there, you dumb mother effer. He's like, no, I thought this is... So you have me and my mom cursing him out. I'm still half unconscious cursing him out. All of a sudden, we get on the road. My mom tells me that they went to McDonald's while I was in surgery or whatnot, or my dad went to surgery. He went to McDonald's to get something to eat because he was hungry. They messed up his order. So on the way back, my dad hits my mom. Can we stop at McDonald's? They messed my order up. She's like, I'm not stopping. We're going home. Good old Russell, though.
Dude, the best.
Oh, man.
So, from your perspective,
Back to the ACL. Yep.
well, I mean, that was an ACL. That was you
No,
out of the
yeah,
OR.
I did. But back to it.
No, I just want to know. I've been for 10 minutes. So, you talked about it's like an ability to or an inability to decelerate. Do you think that could be an issue? Obviously, force starts at your feet all the way up. You have your ankle, shin, all that stuff until your knee.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the biggest, in your opinion, if you have an opinion on it, where do you think the biggest like issue is?
The biggest issue is at the hip.
At the hip?
Hip external rotators. If I had to narrow it down to one area you need to focus on, it's going to be the external rotators of the hip to make sure, because whenever you're doing those types of movements, whether it's landing from a jump, whether it's cutting, you want to try to keep that knee up over your ankle. You don't want that knee going inside that ankle. That's when you're getting yourself into that position of no return. So you want to make sure, and the only way you can do that is keeping that hip rotated out and really, I mean, overemphasizing driving the knee outward, because when you get into the normal course of athletic movement, you're not going to be thinking about all those things. It's like a golf swing.
Right.
If you're trying to think of
reaction.
everything, you're going to screw it all up. But while you're drilling it and training it, if you could get that as your teaching point, your teaching cue, and that kid's trying to drive those knees outward, they're going to be in a better position, a more stable position from a functional standpoint.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like when you watch like a kid or whatever, we'll say a high school kid, if he could like deadlift 450 pounds, but if his knees cave inwards, it's
Right.
like, all right,
It's
yeah,
over.
great.
You've lost it.
And his upper back like hunches. It's like, all right. I mean, he did it. He essentially got the weight from point A to point B. But
So-
like, look at all these issues that we got
Right.
going on here. He's structurally not sound.
Right. Because what happens is when that knee goes in, right, those hips anteriorly rotate. They're going to tilt forward, which is going to curve your lower back. And the only accommodation you can make then in the upper back is the hunch.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that makes sense. Why you see knees cave in, lower back goes. Yeah, that makes sense.
So my question is to you, what was the hardest part of like rehabbing me or like Martin, or like what was like
You two specifically, just like I kind of touched on and I was touching on, was you guys went so much quicker than Danielle. I had to pretty much redo my notes and almost not throw Danielle's out the window,
right?
but really now look and go, wait, are you guys really fast? Was Danielle really slow? Like, is it in between? Like, I don't know where this thing's at. You and Martin were pretty much, in my eyes, ready to go at like 4 months. You know, but 4 months is you're right at the beginning of that time of, you know, we talk about the tissue dying and then it's going to regenerate and continue to get stronger, but you're still only at 70. That tissue is about 70% 9 months to a year after surgery.
Right.
So you don't really get that 100% tissue strength until at least 12 months. There's enough data out there that says that, you know, once you get to that 70% area, you can go, and it'll suffice as long as you rehab correctly. That's the hardest part, was kind of keeping you guys at bay. When, you know, myself, I tend to be more aggressive, and I think that's naturally the Division I upbringing, I guess, and my education in me, because everything is, we got to get this kid out and play. You know, so that's what I've always been exposed to. So it's my nature to be aggressive with everything like that.
And I think that was in my nature also. Like,
Right.
I want to be aggressive, like, as hard as I can go.
Yeah.
I want to go after it.
Yeah. And so for me to tell you, you know, it's just not time right now.
Yeah.
Why? You know, and it's hard, because how do I say,
How do you tell this
trust me, man.
teenager?
You know,
Right.
You know, because you're able to, your motion's back. You're able to start jumping. You know, we're running and we're doing.
We're going off of cuts. You got to go to this cone. All of a
Yeah,
sudden,
we're doing
plant,
cone
go to
drills,
that
all
cone.
that kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
right.
and you're able to do it all. You know, and then now it's all of a sudden, well, why can't I go back to unrestricted football or basketball activity?
Right.
That was definitely and it really is always the hardest part.
Is judging when that person is good to go.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Juping it up, episode 8, the ACL show.
He
The
told you. He
ACL.
warned you before you
Dude, I
asked
love
it.
it. I
With
love
what?
it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
absolutely.
We can go on for
See, but
ACL.
I haven't even gotten into
forever.
anything.
I don't.
That's the thing.
I don't know if anyone out there is going to be interested, but like, you tore your ACL, so it's interesting for you. I train kids. Interesting for me.
I mean,
you
I
went
could
to
tell
school
you
for
how
this.
to
Like,
not tear your ACLs.
how to not?
Get in the squat rack, bud. Start squatting.
Are you
I'm
looking
just-
at? Are you
no,
looking at me? Because I
I'm-
do. I do
no,
squat.
I know you
Okay,
squat.
yeah.
I've seen the videos.
Attaboy.
Great form.
Thanks, man.
Still
But
not sub 5. Squat all you want. You're still not sub 5.
but- Did you see
I'm
the
being,
video?
I'm
484.
being completely honest, though. If you really want to be like ACL prevention, get in the squat rack, do it the right way, build up your muscles around your knee, around your legs, and you won't have that problem.
See,
Yeah.
I think
and it goes back. I mean, if you're squatting correctly, your knees aren't caving.
Well, that's why I said do it the right
And,
way.
right, and that's building up that hip strength,
Right.
because that's ultimately what it comes down to.
I'm still a big fan of, along with squats, unilateral work. I mean, because if you have a weak leg, right, you can essentially, in a squat, if you have one weak side, like, you know,
Compensate to an
yeah,
extent.
you can compensate to a side to keep it. Like, if you're doing a reverse lunge or something, like, you can't. Like, you can't compensate on that lead leg. Like, if you have an issue, like, you're gonna know, like, that knee is gonna keep. If there's
So
no
you
stability
being-
there, like.
So you would prefer doing like those type of things for?
No, I mean, I like squatting. I mean, you
No, I'm
can't.
not saying you don't like squatting, but like for ACL prevention, you would do more of like
I'm not-
lunges and.
I'm not saying for ACL prevention, but I think if you have a strength and conditioning routine and everything is bilateral, I think you're going to be at a higher risk for something like that, or an ankle, or just because you're not training that single leg at a time. Like, you're not, if you have a weakness or if you have a dysfunction, like, you're not identifying it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that goes back. I mean, when we go through,
I'm gonna grab another one.
we
boys.
do. You got to go to the bathroom again? But when we would go through things, what we would end up doing was, you know, what was it? Is right or left? left, right? So that never say bad knee, good knee, right? It's new knee, other knee, and so new knee, we would do your exercise and your rehab. We would go to the other
and do the same thing,
and then
Right.
come back to the new knee, because that's obviously the one that we got to catch that one up. But we'd still go back. So there are certainly some individual, unilateral components that you have to address.
I just remembered, Tom, get on the bike. Wait until you can go forward. I couldn't go forward for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was the tough. Oh man.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, like to try to get that range of motion, like the strength back,
Oh,
is
okay.
he'd put me on the stationary bike, and the only thing I would be able to do is basically use my right leg to move the bike backwards, and just keep going backwards and backwards until I
Yeah,
got that
use
range
the
of motion.
use the right one
To
and let
kind-
the left one go for the ride.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, I was like, holy shit, I can move my left one now, and all of a sudden I would go backwards, but both left and right, and he's like, okay, now you can go forward. Then we would go forward, and then finally it was like, take your brace off and walk around a little bit, and now we can kind of do that. It was just like the baby steps, but then it built up to the greater process, and then you kind of had to reel me back in. There was a point in basketball season though I was like, I can do this.
Let me go. Let me
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
Tom.
Cause
Yeah.
they asked me to practice or like do a drill with everybody, and I was like, I was moving around a little bit, and I was like, this could happen.
Yeah.
This is a thing I could, and it was around playoff time too, so I was like, I can make it back for playoffs. I can help us make a little run here.
So you had surgery in August,
Yes,
right? When did you get back? When did Doc Sebastianelli clear you?
I was cleared basically at the beginning of track season, so
Okay. Yep.
because
Yep.
that was the first.
Was that the year you were on 4x1?
Yes, that was the first thing I did
Right.
after.
I remember that now that
Yeah.
you said that. Yep.
That was the first like competitive thing I did after tearing my ACL was track.
Yeah. That's the second. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to argue with myself, but that's the next probably most difficult thing is from day one, I control every aspect of what he did, right? Got him from point A to point B.
Basically not able to walk.
And you're right. And when it came time to go point B, and now just say,
See you, buddy.
You're on your own.
you're on your that is the worst feeling in the world, to watch him go out and try to play a basketball game or run in a track meet. You're like, I hope I didn't screw this thing up.
So how about-
because the last thing you need to see is him go
Speaking
down
of
like
that-
somebody shot him on a track.
Speaking of that, we had a track meet home. I'm running the 2x100. I'm coming around the turn. I'm feeling good.
2x100?
Y'all,
What's a 2x100, bud?
oh God,
Wow.
I gotta slow down.
Couple
The
cervezas.
200, Las cervezas are catching up. The 200, the
yeah.
2x100, the 200 coming around the turn. I'm feeling good. Get down to the straightaway. I'm like neck and neck with like two other guys. It's like one guy on my team, another guy from another school. We're going. So like coaches tell you like when you're getting close, like give a lean.
I remember this.
So I'm thinking, oh, shit, I got to lean right now. I lean like there's no tomorrow. All of a sudden, I was like, these feet aren't catching up to my body. right now.
Too far over the
These
legs.
feet-
Too far up.
These feet are catching up to the body. All of a sudden, boom, hit the track. All of a sudden, I just hear, Matthew! Mary Ruth's up there. Tom, he did it. He did it. No.
Were you there?
Oh, he was there. He was
Yeah.
like in the
Did you?
trainer's room.
Was this the year? Like this was your
This was
track
just like
season after?
this is like I just came back.
When you saw this, you shit your pants or?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I looked at everybody. I'm like, I'm fine, but my wrist is messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no better feeling when you
Knee okay,
Yeah.
wrist.
Knee.
Eh.
Knee's
Seen better
great.
days.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a typical anybody that's been around me when it comes time to taking care of a kid, I go up to him and I'm going, oh no, this isn't good. Go up, get it, and going, let's go, get up. I don't want to hear it. There's nothing wrong with you. Coast is clear.
But at that point, too, like, me and Tom had a really good relationship. Like, we got to learn a lot about one another. And, like, I'm looking at him like, I'm fine right now. Like, I don't know why everybody's so nervous. And he's like, do you not realize, like, you just tore your ACL 7 months ago and you're playing again?
Right,
Like,
right.
you idiot. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, you're.
Dude, he gave me the Lockman test.
Yeah, forgot about you, CD Lamb over here.
That would have been. I was always taught, especially when I got to Syracuse, something happened with the knee. It didn't matter what it was. Don't miss you can't miss an ACL. If you miss an ACL, you're an idiot, right? Don't miss it. Drill it in your head, drill it in your head, drill it in your head. I'm laughing, giggling, joking around with you. I swear to God, I have been out of that place since 2004, right? 17 years ago. I'm thinking, soon as you're sitting in my office, him and Han about your knee, I'm going, I can't miss an ACL. I can't. Get on the ground and let me see this real fast. Boom, boom, boom. Nope, good. You're an idiot.
You're fine.
Grab a bag of ice.
Do the Lockman's test real quick.
Yep.
Yo, you didn't give me a bag of ice. Get out of here.
No, you get your own.
Open the drawer.
Get your own. Only the kids. For the kids, bud.
For the kids. Work that into a third straight podcast.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh, the
this is
ACL,
what Uncle was
man.
talking about. Yeah, there you go, Matt.
The ACL. Can you imagine?
So,
I mean, who like name some? I mean, think about ACL injuries that have come back. You got Adrian Peterson, Derrick Rose.
speaking of that, Adrian Peterson, I didn't want to, because I don't want you to get too deep down the rabbit hole, but you said, it was interesting, you said 9 to 12 months, the new ligament is like
I don't mean to cut you
70%.
off, but like those
Yeah.
guys are freaks.
Yeah.
They are freaks.
So what
like
would
their
you-
ability to like?
This is a great point. Go ahead. Keep going.
So I know, like, with Adrian Peterson, because it wasn't just he came back and was good. Like, he came back in 6 months
Not
and
even,
then
bud.
won an MVP.
Right.
Do you think that maybe he had some, in terms of, like, I know a big thing that season was, like, he had to be doing, like, HGH or something. And would that help change that ligament over quicker? I don't know if you learned that, or I don't know if that was taboo.
No,
when you were-
it wouldn't have changed the dynamic of the tissue. I think naturally what it's intended to do is it's going to allow you the opportunity to grow a heck of a lot of muscle and some strength in that muscle.
Very quick.
That's going to help keep it from getting in those positions of compromising the repair. So if that's the case, yeah. But my thing back, I don't know when he did it, but it was definitely around the time I was rehabbing somebody, and I'm like, and the thing is, you can't compare
But that might have been when you were.
Hooper's rehab to Adrian Peterson's.
That might have been.
You know, like
Yeah,
it was like
oh,
2000. That
there's
might
a
have been. That
reason
might have
he's
been.
Adrian Peterson, whether
Right.
there's some extra games being played or not.
Oh yeah.
He's
Athletically,
a freak
like
athlete, like
genetically freak.
Genetically,
You can't-
there's a reason he's in the NFL. There's a reason that we're sitting here doing the podcast right now. Like,
you said.
the dude's a freak, like, human being. Like, look at Saquon Barkley.
I mean, he can't
Right.
can't do a
I
podcast like
guarantee.
us.
I guarantee you he's coming back the same, if not better, because
When did
of-
Saquon do it?
he did it
He did it early.
Early in
Peterson
the
did
season.
it like the week before playoffs, and then was ready to start the next year.
September.
Right.
He was in for training camp. He
September,
did it like
October, I want to say.
Peterson
Saquon
did it like
did it.
week 17 of the NFL season. Then was
It was
ready
early.
for training
So
camp.
so even if it's October, he's 6 months right now. Saquon.
I think he's ready to go.
Oh, he'll
probably.
be. Yeah.
Just because of, like, seeing him and, like,
But
watching
also,
him on Instagram, on Twitter, him always talking about, like, being a grinder and, like, wanting the
Yeah.
process and
but
all that.
it's 2021. So Peterson was what, 2002? 2012.
Right.
2012, yeah.
Like, you have to imagine in 9 years in terms of, like, medicine and repair, like ACL repair, it's got to be
Odell
night
Beckham
and
tore his
day.
too. How about that?
Because I feel
would-
like back when Peterson did it and was back in 6
I don't
months,
know,
it
I
was
feel
like
like
a big
it's-
thing. Like, oh my God, how did he do it? Like, usually it takes a year.
Well,
And now you've seen people do it before.
Yeah, but see, the problem is, back in the 70s and 80s, the ACL was a career-ending injury.
yeah, right.
And then
You're getting a full cast. And you're,
yeah, by the time you kind of got through the early 2000s, they pretty much. I mean, the ACL is probably one of the most researched topics in sports medicine. So
Right.
there isn't a leaf to be turned over now on the ACL circuit. So I don't know how much. Again, you're really going to advance and push the needle dramatically than what has been done in the last, probably in the 20 years before.
I mean, what can you really do so much that's different, right?
Yeah, but there's I don't know. I mean, you just a guy like Saquon, you're going to end up probably in that same period of a return. But the interesting thing with Saquon when he did it was, you look at the size of his legs and what he's been squatting, deadlifting. I mean, he was an
Was he
animal at Penn
non-contact?
State.
Yeah, I think he did it on a cut.
Was.
Yeah.
But I mean,
so
I'm not surprised. The force that he
Yes.
must be generating
right,
and
yes.
whatnot.
right, and how dynamic he is.
That's what, right.
Yeah.
Like,
Because, like we said, it's not a matter of people think I need to get faster, I need to get faster, I need to get faster. You need to stop quicker.
right.
What's separating that high-level athlete is who can stop faster
His ability to stop
and then be able to
and
go again.
Right.
Right. And be as efficient as possible. But like you said, when he's as big as he is there, moving as fast as he can, there's only so much
Your body can go through.
your body, that structure can take
Right.
in trying to stop your body.
So then, you look at Saquon, you look at Odell. Do you think? I know for me, it was a second thought, for an extent. Do you think they have that idea of not wanting to cut or make that move that they did that tore their ACL?
Yes, there's no doubt.
They
That
get
fear,
back in
that same fear.
that same fear, that
Yeah.
that little thought, that voice in the back of your head saying, "Don't make this move, don't make this cut."
Yeah.
Until maybe 3 or 4 times they actually do it just because of instinct,
Right.
because it's a natural reaction to them, and they're like, "All right, maybe I can do this."
Yeah, it's a natural reaction, and just because it's those guys doesn't mean that inhibition is gone, because in actuality the stakes are higher for those guys. That cut, if I avoid that cut, that could mean how many millions of dollars for me in earnings down the road if I pop this thing again. This is generational money.
Right.
That they're
So
that's
instead of
on
making
the
that
line.
cut, they go out of bounds
So,
or they go
right,
down.
Right. So they're still going to have to get over that mental hurdle in rehabbing and getting back out to play to get back to the level of pre-injury Saquon.
And, two, I feel like before you ever have an injury like that, it's never going to happen to me. And then it happens to you, and you're like, oh, well, it could happen again.
Right, just like you said.
I never thought of
How
it.
many times have you made that cut without a problem?
Every day.
All of a sudden, that
Oh.
July day or early August day down in Pittston, Pennsylvania,
All of a
was
sudden,
the time that
yeah, right.
you popped it and you're on the shelf for
The rest is history.
9 months.